Hello dear students. So today in this lecture we will discuss about some more cell organelles, and one such cell organelle is mitochondria. Mitochondria, as you know, is also known as powerhouse of the cell. That is mitochondria. And why is mitochondria known as powerhouse of the cell? Because ATP formation and storage that takes place in mitochondria. So you can say mitochondria is the place where, as a result of respiration, energy is produced in the form of ATP and also stored in the form of ATP. That's why the mitochondria is known as powerhouse of the cell. If you look at the structure of mitochondria, just like you have seen nucleus is surrounded by two membranes, mitochondria is also surrounded by a double layered membrane. Here the outer membrane of the mitochondria is smooth, and the inner membrane here is having the folds. It is having the finger-like projections. It is having very deeply folded like this. So these finger-like projections are known as cristae. And this one is the inner membrane. So you can see the inner membrane of mitochondria is deeply folded to form the finger-like projections, and these finger-like projections are known as cristae, whereas the outermost surface is smooth. And in between spaces there is a proteinaceous jelly-like material filled, and that proteinaceous jelly-like material is known as what? It is known as matrix. So that is the structure of mitochondria. If you look at the functions of each component, first of all, let's look what is the function of cristae. So as you can see, due to defolding, the inner surface of the mitochondria increases. The function of cristae is to increase the surface for ATP production and storage. So if you look at the function of cristae, the cristae are D-folds present in the inner membrane of mitochondria, and their main function is to increase the surface area so that more and more ATPs can be produced and generated, stored. Another part here is matrix, and the function of matrix is it contains respiratory enzymes that help in ATP formation, right? So the matrix, it is containing respiratory enzymes, and these respiratory enzymes, they help in ATP formation. That is the function of matrix. Other than that, mitochondria also contains its own DNA and RNA and that's why it is also known as semi-autonomous body, or you can say semi-autonomous cell organelle that is partially dependent on its own. That's why it is known as semi-autonomous. So again, if I summarize all about mitochondria, so you can see mitochondria is the cell organelle which is surrounded by two membranes. The outer membrane is smooth, whereas the inner membrane is deeply folded to form the finger-like projections, and these finger-like projections are known as cristae. The function of cristae is to increase the surface area for generation of ATP as well as for storage of ATP. In between spaces of mitochondria, there is a jelly-like proteinaceous material filled, and that jelly-like proteinaceous material is known as matrix. This matrix contains respiratory enzymes, and these respiratory enzymes help in ATP formation, right? And the last, another important point about mitochondria is that mitochondria contains its own DNA and RNA, and that's why it is capable of replicating and producing proteins on its own, and that's why this is known as a semi-autonomous cell organelle or semi-autonomous body, right? After mitochondria, another important cell organelle which we are going to discuss here about is the plastids. So if we look at the plastids, plastids are the cell organelle that is found only in plant cells. These are not found in animal cells. The one most important thing about plastids is it is found only in plant cells, not in animal cells. And if you look at the types of the plastids, there are basically three types of plastids. One is known as Chloroplast. So chloroplast is the plastid which mainly contains the green pigment known as chlorophyll, and the function of chlorophyll is that it helps in the process of photosynthesis so that the plants are capable of synthesizing their own food. So chloroplast is the plastid which contains green pigment called chlorophyll, and this chlorophyll helps in photosynthesis so that plants can prepare their own food with the help of raw materials like carbon dioxide and water in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, right? That's why the chloroplasts are also known as kitchen of the cell, because the process of formation of food occurs in kitchen, and in chloroplast this food formation is occurring. That's why chloroplast is known as kitchen of the cell. And one more important thing, that chloroplast also contain their own DNA, RNA and ribosomes. Hence these are also semi-autonomous cell organelles, right? So like mitochondria, the chloroplast are also semi-autonomous cell organelles. Another type of plastids which you can observe in plant cells are the chromoplast, and these chromoplasts, they contain the pigments called xanthophyll and carotene. Xanthophyll basically provides yellow color, and the carotene provides orange and red color, right? So what is happening, that xanthophyll and carotene, these are found in non-green parts of the plants. For example, you can find these coloring pigments either in flowers or fruits which are not green in color, right? So if you heard about carrots are orange red in color due to presence of the pigment known as carotene, right? And the third type of plastids are leucoplast. Leucoplast is the colorless plastid. It does not provide any color to the plant. So if it does not provide any color, then what is its function? Basically its function is it helps in storage. So it stores starch, proteins and fats, right? So these are the three type of plastids that are found in plant cells. Out of these you have seen chloroplast, which contains the green colored photosynthetic pigment known as chlorophyll, which helps in photosynthesizing the food. That's why it is known as kitchen of the cell. And as it contains its own DNA, RNA and ribosome, that's why it is known as semi-autonomous cell organelle. And that same chlorophyll is also highly important for us because it not only synthesizes the food, but it is also responsible for absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and releasing oxygen into the atmosphere, right? And chromoplast, they are the coloring pigments in the form of xanthophyll and carotene. Xanthophyll, which provides yellow color to the flowers in fruits, and carotene, it provides orange and red color to the flowers and fruits. And of course, the third type of pigment which you can see in plant cells is leucoplast. It is a colorless pigment which does not provide any color, but it performs another very important function. It helps in storage of some useful material like starch, proteins and fats, right? So other than plastids, there is another important cell organelle which you can see in the cells, and it is found both in plant cells as well as animal cell, and that cell organelle is vacuoles. So our next topic about the cell organelles is the vacuoles. The first important thing that they occur both in plant and animal cell, and they are the big you can say bag like structures. sac-like structures which are surrounded by the membrane, and that membrane surrounding the vacuoles is known as tonoplast. Inside this, the fluid which is filled here which is mainly containing water, and there may be other substances also, and that fluid here is known as cell sap. Right? So, vacuoles are what? Vacuoles are, you can say, membrane bound. Bag-like structures containing cell sap. So the fluid which remains filled in the vacuoles is known as cell sap. And if you see the difference in vacuoles of animal cells and plant cells, you find a small difference here is, if it is the case of plant cell, there is one vacuole and it is very large in size. You can say it is so large in size that it can occupy almost 90% of the space of the plant cell. That's why in plant cells you have seen that the nucleus of the plant cell is near periphery due to presence of large vacuoles that push all other cell organelles towards the periphery. And if you talk about animal cells, in animal cells either the vacuoles are absent, or if these are present, they are large in number but small in size. So the animal cell may contain 2 to 3 vacuoles, but these vacuoles are quite small. That's why the nucleus of the animal cell is in the center. And if you look at the functions of vacuole, it may contain digestive enzymes that help in, of course, digestion of food. For example, the unicellular organisms like paramecium and amoeba, euglena, they intake the food in the form of food vacuole, and these food vacuoles, they contain the digestive enzymes that help in digestion of the food. Another important function of vacuoles is that they also help in removal of the unwanted material, or in other words, you can say they help in excretion, right? And they also help in controlling the amount of water in the cell, and that is known as osmoregulation. So, the vacuoles also help in the process called osmoregulation. And another important function of these vacuoles is they provide turgidity and rigidity to the cell. So they provide a specific shape, and the turgidity is provided by the presence of vacuoles. So that is all about another cell organelle, that is vacuole, and about remaining cell organelle like lysosomes, etc. that we'll be discussing in our next lecture. Have a nice time. Goodbye till then.